Understanding koi growth is essential if you want to grow koi on. Thumbnail shows 50% of the growth in a koi's life happens within the first year of its life. The sooner the koi can outgrow its predators, the safer it will be. So koi growth is hardwired into the koi from day one. As the koi ages, the appetite for growth diminishes accordingly. This is purely a survival tactic, as small koi are food for everything that can eat them. What does this mean to us? Well, the earlier you can start growing koi, the better the results will be. The results can be spectacular, but not all koi are born equal, as some koi do not grow or are bonsai koi with very little growth. Why? I believe this is also part of the koi's survival strategy, to flood the area with food for predators so that they simply cannot eat all the koi fry, so ensuring that the strongest will survive. Koi fry will eat smaller fry, so I believe some of those bonsai fry are a way of providing food for the strongest koi fry. Sad, but true. As koi grow older, it is more a case of what you see you get, whereas with tosai the changes can be so dramatic you may be questioning if it is the same koi a year later. Koi in their second year, the appetite for growth has halved to 25%, but this is because the need to grow is less of a demand. It has survived the first year and winter and has outgrown most of its predators in the pond. The third year the appetite is down to 12.5%. The koi has survived the first 2 years of its life, which is no mean feat. Now the growth in a female koi is diverted into creating a new generation in the form of egg production. Female koi do grow in length but more in girth, as the eggs can take up to 25% of a koi's body weight. So a full kilo koi could be 1 kilo of eggs at 100,000 eggs per kilo. All that energy has to come from somewhere, so they have to switch their resources from growth into egg production. It's a pointless exercise to try growing on yonsai or 4-summer-old koi, as there is little appetite for growth. That's not to say that they will not grow. They will grow, but the rate will not match that of younger koi. So bear this fact in mind when growing koi. If a koi is a 40 cm yonsai, the chances of it growing into jumbo are non-existent, whereas a 40 cm tosai, the chances are a lot higher. Will reach 60 cm in its second year, given the right conditions and food. Please bear in mind that a 40 cm yonsai may be a stunning koi, tick every box in your book. If so, and the price is right, buy it. Just bear in mind it has growth limitations. The other thing to bear in mind with older koi, they do not change dramatically. So if a koi has underlying sumi, it's more likely to stay as underlying sumi. A bit of a bus sumi, a friend of mine always says. Forever coming, but never arriving. Unless all the sumi is solid, with one small area as underlying sumi, then it may be worth a punt. But make sure you're happy with buying the koi as it is. Do not expect improvement as a certainty. I need your support to help me and the channel grow by subscribing and liking this video. Working with nature. So what do I mean? Rather than fighting nature by trying to force koi to grow in the winter, when the temperature is the lowest, the daylight shortest, and the UV weakest, Why not wait a few months until the days are lengthening, the spring water warming, and the UV is getting stronger? And just rely on Mother Nature to provide the right conditions to grow the koi in. What I am saying is, let us work with nature, give it a boost at the right time to provide the koi with the correct conditions to promote koi growth. We can heat early in the spring to warm the water to the optimum temperature of 24°C to stimulate the koi's growth. Stable water conditions are the key factor in growing koi. Temperature is one factor that the koi will struggle with if the temperature is high during the day, plunges at night due to a cold, frosty night. In this case, the koi are fighting nature, which often occurs in spring. But if we heat, we can give the koi a stable temperature throughout the day and the night, making life easier for the koi as it doesn't have to struggle to adjust to the constant rising and falling temperature. As a result, the koi grows better. It's a simple fact which is often overlooked. Likewise, in our ponds, the filters and the biofilm will struggle with the ever-changing temperature between warm days and cold nights. Biofilm works best in the high 20s. So it makes sense to heat to this range. The fuel for growth is food. Food, a little and often, is the secret, which helps the koi, but also helps the biofilm. As the biofilm has smaller spikes to deal with, think of it as feeding your biofilm lots of small snacks rather than 3 big meals a day to deal with. The koi's digestion is basically a conveyor belt, in one end and poo out the other. They do not have stomachs, so a little and often is the way they eat naturally. In the wild, a consistent grazing and searching for food. So we're helping them eat naturally by supplying smaller meals regularly through the day. Any questions, please ask in the comments below. Water conditions are another important factor. I do not do water changes. This is a very misleading statement, even though it's true. What I do is trickle in through a water purifier to refresh the water and dilute any pollution. I also use an RO system to help lower the TDS of the incoming water, which is 330 straight from our tap. This also reduces the chances of a pH crash by refreshing the water. This can be a major problem with small bodies of water, highly stocked with koi and fed heavily. The smaller the volume of water, the greater the risk of things going wrong very quickly. The more maintenance is required to keep a small volume of water heavily stocked with koi, the opposite of a mud pond with vast water with very little maintenance and few koi. Mud ponds do have maintenance. Weeds are cut back and they are drained in winter to kill off any parasites, and are fertilized in spring. Some are rotivated to refresh the pond bottom. It's amazing how much poo a koi can produce, and it's directly related to the amount of food fed to the koi. So if you expect koi growth, you have to feed according to the water temperatures, which governs the koi's metabolism. The high temperature of 24°C, the koi will be on full throttle, so feeding must be high. If feeding is low at a high temperature, the koi will lose weight extremely quickly. So feeding must be of sufficient quantity and quality so that the koi can grow and put on body mass. This is 3% of the koi's body weight. See the guide in the description, but it's only a rough guide. Personally, I do not weigh the koi and then feed. This would entail the stress of catching them, sedating them to weigh them every 2 to 10 days. To me, all this stress is needless, and it will not help the koi grow, but it will actively hinder growth. I need your support to help me and the channel grow by subscribing and liking this video. So what's my personal feeding regime? I monitor the food waste in the sieve. If it is all dust and koi poo, the koi have eaten all the pellets before getting to the sieve, so I can increase feeding slowly. If there are whole pellets in the sieve, the koi haven't eaten all the pellets, so I hold back or reduce feeding until it's just dust and koi poo in the sieve. It is a very simple way, but it seems to work for me. But it does rely on you having a sieve as your mechanical filter. Mechanical filters are essential to remove the waste particles from your pond water. Your biological filter can deal with the finer particles. But if you just had a biological filter and no mechanical filter, the filter would soon be overrun, as all the waste would clog up the system and become a breeding ground for bad bacteria. So a mechanical filter of some sort, whether it be a vortex, brushes, sieve or drum, is essential. But all of them need maintenance in some form or another. You are not keeping water, you are keeping a sewerage treatment plant on an industrial scale, which makes you a koi sewerage treatment plant specialist, to put it politely. Once you know how many koi and at what size you wish to keep in a pond, you can design the filter with this in mind. Just 25 litres of Oase Helix 13 can reduce 170 grams of food waste a day. So I would say 200 litres or more if you want to feed 1 kilo of food a day. Whether this is in a shower or moving bed is up to you and the space available. I had to have showers on my grow-on pond as the space was very limited, so the only way to go was up. Please ask any questions in the comments below. I need your support to help me and the channel grow by liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.